everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Live. Mark DeJesus in the house with my Hawaiian shirt. It is the month of June, so I feel it is appropriate to begin Hawaiian shirt. So on the sequences of Sunday evenings, or at whatever time it is where you are watching this broadcast, or even later in the week or whenever, I just feel like it's time to let out the summery vibe. So welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We had some technical difficulties we were dealing with just before getting on, and what else is new, right? But anyways, welcome to this broadcast again. I have the delight of the wonderful, the amazing Melissa DeJesus is in the house with me today, tonight. She is here.
I am back. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear myself.
Yeah. I can hear you great. I'll turn you up a little bit there.
Up just a skosh.
How's that? Is that better?
No, I can't hear you.
How about a little bit like that?
That's amazing. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
You're very tan.
I am.
And I'm like reddish. I respond to the sun very reddish. I have a reddish hue. You are more in the brown area.
Right. You know what? Now it's too loud.
I knew it. I knew it. This is life in the DeJesus household.
I know. Right. There's times, though, where you've said you've turned it down and you haven't. But no, that's good.
Yeah.
I know. We're trying to figure it out.
Let me just adjust a couple things here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, which is odd because you being half Puerto Rican, you would think you would tan better.
Right.
Like your dad, your brother's very dark. Mm-hmm. Like you just don't tan well. And me, I'm like,
I go red. I go red for a while, then a little bit of tan comes in.
In the ancestry thing we did, like I'm 100% European. Mm-hmm. I am I'm 49% Lithuanian, and the rest is like Irish, English. Yeah, I am totally European. And the sun sees me and goes, "Hey, lady." You're back. Like I tan so easy. It's kind of funny. So
yeah, you're right. And I with the Puerto Rican side, and my ancestry has like a bit of like North Africa, a bit of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you would think that you would.
I should be reacting browner, but
I know it's interesting.
But it's all right. Yeah. Wonderful to have you here. Everyone missed you last week.
Oh.
Although Max and I had a nice time. It was great having Max.
Yes, and I was so grateful. Everybody was so kind. It was kind of funny because the last time, for those of you that maybe caught it at Christmas time when he was on, him and Abby, he was just
right, super
animated, so alive, and we just thought he would, pick right back up with that again. But he was a little bit camera shy. Mm-hmm. It was kind of funny to see him.
Everybody's so kind, and even somebody wrote they were grateful they have a special needs child themselves. I don't know if it's on autism spectrum or something like that, but they were just it's encouraging to hear stuff like that because we try to meet our kids where they're at and work with their journey and just have fun in the midst of it. So he seemed to have fun. But anyways, I got a different chair here, so I feel everything feels a little stranger today. I got a different mixer. I'm not thrilled about it because I can't do the voices because that thing was bugging out on me, and until they update that. And then my chair was I'd be in calls and I'd be doing this, like the.
Oh my goodness.
So wait,
no.
Yeah, so tell me about that again.
I miss the voices too. They're like the highlight of the broadcast.
How about if I just do the whole thing like this? Welcome.
Well, that's all right.
Oh, you can't see the.
I see what's happening now, but also I see that like my hair had curl to it, and when I went outside, it is raining here and muggy and so gross that. Literally, it's just like Frizz City.
Frizzy.
So we're frizzy.
Dreadfully frizzy.
You're falling in your chair. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So this chair hopefully will be fine. But
if you start, it's like when the mic for me just started slowly going down. Your chair will just slowly start sinking.
Yeah, the little shock absorber thingy and the other one just started. It's losing its
right.
It's losing its ability.
Somebody asked, "We are live." Yeah, we are live. Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is live.
We are live.
This is live. And
David Jenkins, skosh. I say a skosh. Skosh.
Indeed.
He said, turn it down a scotch. Typed it out, scotch. It's just skosh, just a skosh.
Yep.
I don't know, right? Is that
Yep.
right? Skosh, just a skosh.
Was he just commenting on what you were saying and
Yeah,
turn
that I said,
it
turn
down?
it down a skosh.
Or do I actually need
And he
to
said-
turn it down?
Huh?
Or do I
It's a
actually need to
skosh.
turn it down?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not for me anyway.
Okay, I'm checking the levels here of what we're sending out. I think it's a good signal, but yeah. So anyway, let's update on the life of the De Jesus world, right?
People care.
Because last time when I sent an email about just kind of one of those weeks, right, where everything just kind of collides and it just hits you, and they can be. From the outside looking in, you can kind of go, well, everybody kind of goes through that. When you're in the middle of it, just stuff hits you every which way. And the good news is I'm pretty sure my email is working. So that curse is broken, people. Curse is broken.
Amen.
But
Hallelujah.
but we now we're working on your email. It looks like your email
Yes,
is needed.
and my lovely Katie S. Thank goodness you asked me because did we test my email? No, I don't know that we did.
Yeah.
Technically, no, because you were sending me, I was sending back to you.
Right.
And you weren't getting mine, which you weren't getting other people's. But then now it's like you weren't getting mine because
I wasn't getting
mine weren't working. So my sent mail is probably, we were so focused on yours. Yeah, because mine is tied into his.
Yep.
So yeah, thank
you,
you, my little Katie, because yeah. And I guess too, because, some people email both of us, and if one of us responded that with you being on there, which I think was the ish. Well,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, Katie, thank you, because we discovered that I was.
Yeah, and that'll be our next project this week. We'll be making sure that your email gets healed. And
Yeah. So
and
when we get to that.
Yep. And let's see what else is there. Oh, the shower and the water leak and bathroom and all that is still in process. Still.
And, can I just say, listen,
Yes.
these are American problems, or what do you call that? First world problems, whatever. But having one bathroom for 4 people,
Yep.
it's not been fun, everybody.
Yep.
And
Especially when there's an emergency moment and someone else is in there.
yeah, so I had one night where, I have my little OCD spin outs about food sometimes and things like that. So one of mine is every so often I will get this panic that maybe I didn't cook the food good enough and I gave everybody E. coli. So that one will hit me every once in a while. It's a little window into my OCD intrusive thoughts that I deal with. So I had one of those the other night and we were at the dinner table. I was like, oh my goodness, what if I gave us E. coli? What if we all get sick? This is okay.
Yeah.
What if we all get sick?
It started.
We have one bathroom. And I said to Mark, and you were like, no.
Well,
I'm going to just tell everybody. I was like, should we have buckets ready? What if we all get blamming sick,
well,
throwing up,
I
and there's one toilet? It was not good. Okay.
If I could,
It was not good.
If I
Go
could
ahead.
interrupt when
Please.
There was something before that I said that I think is worth mentioning is it may not have been the best response, but actually I think it was a good response. Is I go, honey, no, the food is just.
You acted like you were dying. Yeah.
And then I thought, you gotta laugh at this stuff, and
Yep.
I could see the swirly was wanting to come, and you wanted to let out one thought,
So-
one more thought. We were
Yeah.
like, I was like.
No, because then I said, listen, just in case, should we get buckets ready? Should I get Pepto ready? What should I do? I was like, spinny spin. 2:00 in the morning, I wake up. Do I have a belly ache? Let me go check on the kid. It was, yeah. It was real.
So what helps you working through that?
I think I've gotten a lot better because most of the time, well, not most of the time, in years past, I would have been up all night, monitoring the kids, looking at you, asking you, how you feeling? Are you okay? Myself. I would have prepped towels, just gotten buckets ready, things like sometimes I could have taken it a little bit too far. Now it's still comes, but it's definitely not as bad as where I'm like, okay, if it happens, that's kind of my go-to thought now too, is if it happens, we'll get through it. We'll make it work. maybe it'll be something we laugh about later. I don't know. But
I think that applies to even to like stuff with the bathroom and all that was going on. We've had our issues with water and things like that.
Yeah.
Even you and I were talking this afternoon about last time when we were that time we had the flood in our condo, and we were in a hotel for 9 months, and just we were in a I was in a new office that I just started renting out to film my videos and to do session work. This was up in Connecticut, and that was a very, very long, exhausting, and trying time. We were talking about that today, that there's a bit of what we've learned there that we're applying just to these things now, because they wear away at your patience. They wear away at, we have so many conveniences in our life, and when they get interrupted, we get super disturbed, right? And I think that many people, they get emotionally frustrated, and then they beat themselves up with I live in a great country, and they kind of go into the harsh gratitude, right? It's just like, I should be grateful. I shouldn't be complaining. And it's another form of just being hard on yourself instead of just being gracious and compassionate. It's like, you know what? It's bugging me right now. It's all right. I'm working through something. I find that option is so much more fruitful versus now be thankful. What's wrong with you? People have it worse. Like it's true, but it's not. It doesn't lead to freedom. It's laced with condemnation, which is saying you're not grateful enough right now. And it's like, yeah, no kidding. I'm trying I'm trying to get perspective on this, and I don't know how to receive comfort. I don't know how to receive nurture. What would you, when you look back when we were living there up until now, what are some of the things you learned during times that are challenging? Moving or inconveniences or water issues, or we had vehicle breakdowns. We've had what helps you in those kind of moments to? Well,
I mean, I think we've had like a cluster of the things, especially going through everything that we did with Max. We've had things that have pressed us to like pretty tough levels, and I think in going back, the one thing I would give myself. Not advice, but I would give myself advice to lean more into nurture to myself at that time. I've had to really learn that because I wasn't given that. And so that was not my go-to. It was catastrophizing, like very panic-ridden, anxiety-driven, over-the-top, dramatic, like fall deeply into the spiral of what we were going through.
Yep.
And that did not help. It did not help at all. And I always felt like I had this sense of like, I don't want to feel like this, but I didn't know how else to handle it.
Yep.
Now you're very good in those situations. And yes, that would help me. But really, I was kind of steering myself into like just full blown, just gobbling all of it up and just wearing it like a wet blanket.
Yeah, I would give victimy. Yeah, where it's like, and I would, what you're cultivating within, you turn to God with that. And so because I'd be victimy, it would the posture would be, God, you got to do something.
Why aren't you helping us? Why are you letting this happen to us? Yeah. We've had enough. You know, you guys know. Everybody goes through it. It's okay. You got to work through it. You got to go through it and kind of let that stuff work itself out too. Now you don't want to stay stuck in that, but I definitely think that you said to me, and I think I shared it on when we first had the flood thing. Wow, you're being surprisingly calm. Yeah, I don't want to waste my energy to it. I know we're going to figure this out. I know we're going to come through this, and no matter what we have to face, you and I are going to do it together, and we have God with us. And those, I think it's the practical things that in the moment you forget to apply. And I think I've just been, you and I have been talking about this a lot lately. I've been really trying to apply that more. I don't want to lose my sanity. I don't want to feel like that weighing me down anymore.
Yeah. And I find that I would like the victimy spirals would get shorter and shorter and shorter, because I'd catch, okay, I'm on this, but being gentle about it. Because there were times I'd be harsh about it, like, okay, don't be a victim. Come on. And I would get like really militant, and then I would start manifesting that to other people, like stop complaining. Let's think of the good thing, right? And I realized just that kindness allows me to work through it. And each time I learn, oh, I don't have to go that far. I don't have, It's all right to feel bad. I don't have to push the dominoes. That's kind of my way of putting it. Like you can have one thing that falls. It doesn't have to then domino into everything. And it's like,
I was the queen of that.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like, and then
that was my modus operandi for quite a while.
And then it ends with, "And God, you."
Right.
And really, I'm just needing nurture, and all that stuff is just lack of nurture. It's a need for comfort and
I
those
see
kind
that.
of things.
Yeah, it's like I see it. So when I recognize it myself, if I see it in other people, that's what I want to give to them. I think that's the greatest gift that it's all given me.
Yeah. Let's take a dance break, and you can do some questions, take any questions. I have a couple things I want to share in just a moment. It has to do with Max. It has to do with the times we're living in. Mm-hmm. It has to do with parenting, some stuff like that. And then I'm going to get into part 1 of a summer series I'm going to do on biblical building blocks for mental health. I'm going to talk about the key areas of biblical insight that were needed for our mental health journey. Let's see, what do you want? Something 70s or 80s ish?
Well, 80s for me. Although,
sorry, that was me. I made a mistake there. I told you we had some technical glitches going on here. There we go. I'm trying to get over to you.
Am I supposed to do something? It's hard for me to get a little diddy bop on in the chair.
Okay. Hold on. Let me send it your way. Here we go. Oh, snap.
Oh, goodness.
That was excellent.
It was.
That was great. Okay. Do you have any quick questions that I could address? Anything quickly? And then I want to
quickly. Hold on. Let me look. Sorry.
That's all right.
I don't know, but hey, everybody. Lots happen in the chat. A lot of people can relate to my OCD food battle. It's frustrating, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because, E. coli is a lot.
Yep. Speaking of OCD, let me make one quick mention of this. As you all know, if you don't know, now you know. The OCD Healing Journey is out and available today. Do me a favor, if you've read through this or gotten through a lot of it and it's blessing your life, go to Amazon and write a review. That is a great way that people can get access to it. It provides more attention to it. That would help so much. And coming very soon in the Healing and Freedom community. In fact, June, what is the date? June, I sent it out on the email list. June 23rd. I will be teaching on the Healing and Freedom Journey book in course format in the Healing and Freedom community, starting June 23rd. Of course, you can find more information by going to markdejesus.com, and then right there you click on community. This is a monthly subscription that you can join to become a member of the community. You get access to all of my courses and future courses. You get access to regular Q&As. Right now I'm doing about 2 a month. And this week we had a fantastic one where I broke down someone's journey, and so many benefited from that. And then there's also social interaction where we'll do interaction around the various teachings, each session as I walk through it. I'm going to take my time with this one too, because it is a journey, and I want to navigate this with questions and application that people can begin to apply to their life. So if you want to roll up your sleeves and make an investment into your journey, then check out the Healing and Freedom community. And again, I will be teaching the OCD healing journey starting June 23rd, which means the videos will be uploaded on a weekly basis. I will be uploading it to them. I mean, you can watch them anytime. You don't have to be there at a certain time. You can watch them as many times as you want. You can go through the courses as many times as you want. Hopefully that will make sense to you. So take advantage of that. So what I'd like to do is take a few moments to exhort you as my brothers and sisters, because last week Max was on the show, and I love that you guys are so kind, and it means a lot. There's something that happened this week that Max did that as a parent, I went, that's interesting. Max is on the autism spectrum. And so one of the things that many times can happen is they think in very, very black and white and that kind of perspective. And so because of that, there are certain nuances of things that happen. And he was watching TV and he came over to me, and it was kind of funny. It was comical, but it made some things kind of open up in my mind and my thoughts. And I felt like God used it, and my thoughts were directed into some other areas. But he watched a commercial. Liberty Mutual had a commercial come on, and he walks over to me and he goes, "Dad, does Liberty Mutual really customize your car insurance so that you so that You're making me laugh. I'll bring you to this.
Cute. Okay.
I'll bring you into the screen for a second. But he said, I actually wrote it in my computer. Yeah. He said, "Dad, does Liberty Mutual customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need?" Does he really? And I couldn't help but laugh.
He's so cute.
Yeah, and he's done that. Dad, are you using Geico? Because it does save 60% off of your car insurance. Anyways, so I had a thought in that moment. Wow, I was made aware in that moment that he gets influenced by certain things, very easily, where he'll watch something and he'll see a commercial and he takes it in like a black and white. He takes it in like a literal kind of perspective. And I had to explain to him, no, Max, that's marketing. That's what they do in marketing. So it's not exactly. So he's kind of like, so they're lying? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting, right? Because you're like, yeah, it's like, so I said, the best I could, I'm like trying to explain nuance, right? And I said, it's like exaggerating, Max. They're doing a lot of exaggerating. They take something positive and they really highlight it super big, almost too big, and then it can get into where it's not really true. And I as a parent, it really just hit me, like, of my awareness of Max's journey of like really watching over what he takes in and how he takes in things, because he doesn't always interpret things in the way that he needs to. Then in that moment, I had a very just kind of profound heart moment. It's like, this isn't just Max. All our children are in need of attention, direction, and guidance from us as parents. We're living in very interesting times, very perilous times, very challenging times. Even during this month, there's a lot of anti-biblical values being celebrated and cheered on and pushed in very intense ways. And I think a lot about our kids and our children because we're trying to raise them in the values and the ways of God. And I thought about Max for a moment, and I thought about how he processes things, but then my attention shifted over to our children right now. Because we as believers, we're called to be salt and light. We're called to preserve righteousness. We're called to preserve the ways of God. But as you know, from our ministry work, we believe so much in the power of God's love and his grace to bring people into transformative work where their lives are really changed. But you see the hostility, and you see many of you can get weary of it. You can get frustrated. You can get lost in arguments, and many Christians, get lost in a lot of debates back and forth. And we see a lot of those arguments are filled with strife. And I talked a few weeks ago about the work of strife. You want to check those end time videos out if you like what I talk about and you like where I go with it. But I sensed in my heart, and when I say these kind of things, I don't know what God was telling me. I just sensed that God was using this thought pathway in continuing to empower who I am as a dad and who Melissa is as a mom and who you are as parents. I want to encourage those of you who are parents. I made this statement in our home a couple times this week where I said, you know what? Whatever investment parents are making in their kids in the days that we live in, just double it. just double it. We live in a world where we like to autopilot things. We assume our kids know certain things. We assume they know certain values of right and wrong. We assume they know certain things that they should walk in and live in. We kind of autopilot, and so many times they're just left to their tablets, their phones, their TV, they're in their rooms. And you're not going to hear from me like just beating down, that topic of, stop doing that. I get it. As a parent, you need some, time, you need decompression time. You need your kids to just kind of be safe and sit still. But I want to encourage the life of you as a parent because you are the strongest, most powerful voice ever as a human being in the life of your children. You are the most powerful voice. There is no greater voice on this planet than the power of a mother and a father. And I want to reiterate that. I remember in the early days of doing session work with people where I'd be working with a dad whose daughter's wayward. I'm working with a mom whose son, or I'm working with a couple, and they're really struggling because their child is going off in directions they're concerned, right? And they're like, what's happening? Maybe they're a teenager and they're battling and struggling. And the thing I constantly had to bring home, and I want to bring that home to this day, because we see value systems constantly being promoted that are anti-God, in some ways just really putting a fist to God of we reject you and your ways when it comes to family, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to identity, when it comes to sex, when it comes to all those topics that we just push him out. In the midst of that struggle, we have to remember that God created us as father and mother. You are the most important voice. And I would reiterate that. Do not let the devil steal the power of your voice, your presence, and your love. Because I see it happening where parents get discouraged, they get lost in their work, they get lost in chasing their dreams, they get lost in their own brokenness, they get lost in the own, just whatever's going on. And we often autopilot certain things with our kids. And so we found as a family, it is important, have those discussions. We're having the discussions about identity, who are we in Christ? What are values? Letting our children connect to principles that are extremely important. Because I believe the way that we combat the enemy's devices is strong and powerful relationships, family relationships, and then we as the body of Christ have strong relationships. Now, for those of you out there that are single, you're not married, I encourage you, consider, are you an aunt? Are you an uncle? Consider the power you have as a relative to be a prayerful voice, to be an encourager, to be thoughtful in what's a way that I can be a blessing to add value, because we are all in this together and we need encouragement. We need encouragement in the times that we're living in, because I fight strong for what is right, for values that God has designed, but yet it's my desire that I season it all with grace, that I season it all with love, that it's not filled with animosity, that it's not getting into the strife of this world, but it's also walking in truth that sets people free. And because you can walk in love, hold on to truth, and let those work together, speaking the truth in love. Now, many of you as parents, you may be concerned about where your child is going and where things are happening. I always encourage, when it comes to being fruitful parents, it all starts with the bond. It starts with the bond. Now, the bond is that it's that attachment that develops, that healthy attachment that gets formed. In the Old Testament, you talk about, they use words like the mother's weaning the child. There's this bond that's getting, developed there, that connection, and it goes on through childhood. Well, many times if we see rebellion or we see concerning ways, we go straight to the issue. We attack the issue, right? We go after that thing. And whatever it is, whatever subject or maybe some moral issue or what your kid's getting into, whatever. And my encouragement is revisit the bond. We need time that we are spending just being as families. One of the traps of modern society is we are so busy. We're so busy, it's demonic. The pull into the constant go doing. So we don't have room to just be. We don't have room to just connect. We don't have room for maybe some of the messiness where your daughter's having a hard time or your son's going through something. I've seen in my journey where I don't believe that God gave Max autism. But in the valley of this battleground and what he's faced, it has slowed me down. And I'm learning what it means to bond with him in deeper levels, in deeper ways. Somebody had mentioned this in the last broadcast. They appreciate how I show interest in what Max is interested in. And I believe that's really the foundation as families, because I don't know that growing up that I saw a lot of family interest, even in the things I was interested in. In many ways, it's just kind of like a lone island in the creative things that I was passionate about. I encourage you parents, look at what excites your children, meet them in it, discover those things, create loving bonds. Yesterday, I was in the makeup session of Sephora with my daughter because she loves makeup. And that doesn't appeal to me, but she loves it. So therefore, I'm interested in it. And I'm learning about her procedure and what she likes, and foundation and concealer and all the other things that go on. Why? Because she's interested in it. I'm interested in dinosaurs and nature and wildlife. I already am, but in a deeper way because of my son's love for it. I believe the way that we combat the weapons that are coming against us in the times that we live in is building strength in our homes, in our families. And we do that by cultivating healthy bonds. If you feel like, man, I don't know that the bond is there, ask yourself, how can I develop a loving connection? Whenever I'm sitting down with someone and making a difference in their life, I look to first and foremost, how can I create an atmosphere of love to build rapport with this person? Not how can I jump in there and preach in them, and you're going to exhaust yourself. How do I develop the bond? Because out of that connection is how transformation in our lives takes place, where God changes us from the inside out. And so I just, as a dad, I watch the times we're living in. They're very, very different than the times I grew up in as a kid. When I grew up as a kid, there were certain values that may not have been followed in all of society, but they were somewhat honored. We live in a very, very different culture now about what it means to honor God's ways when it comes to identity, sexuality, and I want to remind us as believers that we live in the truth that sets us free. Hold and let your root systems dig deep in the relationships around you. Because I'm telling you, people right now are starving for encouragement. Hearts are broken, hearts are struggling, and we're spinning our wheels in a lot of busyness. I want to encourage us to get back to the fundamentals of being an encouraging voice. a person of love and build strong families and strong relationships. Jesus said, you will be known for the love that you have for one another. So we have to look in the house and go, how can we cultivate the power of God's love? It starts with our marriages, doesn't it? It starts with husbands and wives looking at each other and going, hey, we need to start healing our hearts and strengthening our marriage. We need to make time and space for us as a couple, because then your children receive the blessing of what flows out of that. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. And is there anything that you wanted to add? I don't mean to put you on the spot. That was just something I wanted to share about. And if you had anything you want to add or, dive into, is there anything that you want to?
No, I think the thing that I think a lot of parents struggle with it, even let's take the makeup stuff with Abby, because I want people to understand too how, like, you sharing that you do that with her and all that, it's amazing, but we do struggle too, right? We're like, how far do you let the makeup go, right? But on the other side of that too, we are very engaged with her on what she's doing, how much she's even into it, all that stuff. We're having conversations with her too on, you don't have to wear makeup, like in encouraging just natural beauty. And it's that line that we're trying to figure out as parents, that it's okay. The encouragement of that too with parents to figure it out and work it out with your kid too, because I do have a part in me. Back in my time, I didn't care about makeup. I even at my age, I honestly have to tell you, it's a struggle for me. I don't really even like to wear it. Now I feel better when I do, but she loves it. I'm like, oh, CoverGirl. What I could care less, even the brand. I'm not into it like she is. And sometimes I want to go, put the makeup down. We don't care about the makeup. It's that struggle to not give into just the easy reaction to it, and to actually say, no, I need to make them understand that I care about what they're into. That's not our natural leaning. And I just want to encourage people, you're not going to sometimes feel like doing it. You're not going to.
It's work. Right. I even, I'm standing there I'm standing there in the aisles, and it was cute.
I let you go. Her and I, we went to the store together, all three of us, and she was being very patient. She was walking with me, and you said to her, come on, Abby. You went over and looked at some shirts for yourself.
Yeah.
Then you came and got her, and I just let you two go over. It was actually kind of cute watching you stand there with her, because I walked by.
Right. The workers.
I was like, there was a part of me, I'm not going to lie, I was like, I'm glad he's doing it right now, because I didn't want to. But I loved it. It gave me a break.
Give you some space to do some shopping.
It gave me some space too, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm standing in there, and the workers there are like kind of looking like, need any help?
Right.
and I'm standing there in the midst of, because you talk about, like, with her and makeup, there's this spectrum of balance, right? Because there's this pull, so much of what is shown on YouTube or on social media, heavy makeup and this kind of image and direction, and you'll feel better, and so there's a lot of conversations that are happening about it. And it's like, I'm like, all right, God, my daughter's got a passion in this area. Here we go. And I'm standing there in the store, and I'm surrounded by so much projection of values that go against God's ways.
Yeah.
But you know what I did? I stood there, and I'm like, but I'm her dad.
Right. And you're there with her.
And I stand here over her heart.
Yeah. Oh, that just got me. I could cry. Why are you going to make me cry?
Yeah. Because that's what comes up for me. Because the father, there's a war against the father.
Yeah.
There's a war against what I represent. And I sometimes feel like I'm in a minority of where are the men fighting for their daughters?
Right.
Because just me standing here showing half an interest in the concealer and the what was the name of the shade? The one that she got for you?
Mykonos.
Mykonos. Yeah, the Mykonos tint. That this is way more than just about makeup. This is about bond. This is about this is discipleship. Because within that we talk about beauty.
Right.
How do you feel beautiful? Is that beautiful that it has to look like that? Or are you beautiful and seen, right where you are?
Right.
And so I feel like in my frustration during the times that we live in, where there's just the values of God, there's an anger, there's an animosity towards Christ, towards what he paid for.
Right.
And I have such a passion for the beauty of marriage, the beauty of family, the beauty of raising children, because it's a way that we generationally reproduce the ways of God. And I see the war, and I could get easily discouraged and lost in it. And then I feel I recalibrate as my role as a dad, and as my role as a brother from another mother to the community, because I want to be full of grace and full of love in everywhere that I can. But I want to stand on the truth that sets us free, and we need that.
I just want to say, Tamar's Hope said, what's wrong with makeup? You love makeup, girl? Yes, there's nothing wrong with it. No. We're talking in the context of like our teenage daughter and how to, because we can watch her at times. If she sees things of makeup, that she has to look a certain way. So that's what we're kind of coming from, and like, she likes the creativity. She likes, like, she sees, like one day she comes in, she's completely blue. She turned herself into Gamora. She likes the artistic. She's doing big cat thing. Like, she loves to do creative things. So it's fun to watch her do that. But that fine line of, I don't want her to feel like
she has to have that.
She has to have it on to feel pretty. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. We wanted to first emphasize, that.
Yeah, because let me tell you, I would not come on here sans makeup. Okay.
Yeah. She even put a little bit on me today. She insisted. She's like, Dad.
She loves it. She's like,
Dad, you're blotchy, whatever that means. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
So, anyways, is what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Is what I'm sharing making sense?
People. Yes. Mm-hmm.
People getting it.
Yeah.
Understand where I'm coming from. Any questions up in
Well, I will tell you, it does. Matthias did ask your opinion on the woke. What was the specific? And kind of like the woke culture going on in the world, specifically in the United States. So I feel like some of that you just...
Well, if you want to understand woke culture, just go into every place where the Bible talks and warns about false prophets and false teachers. Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's a religion. It's a religious movement, and it is very, very evangelistic right now. That you need to believe this way, and you need to... Yep. So, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but I'm feeding the solution of healing hearts and helping people to people who want freedom from captivity to experience that, because it's the love of God that brings that. It's the love of the Father through Christ Jesus that brings that. So yeah, it's a false religion. It's moving very quickly and very rapidly. I'm sad at what it's doing to our country, because the United States is a world influencer. You could go into the middle of like the jungle of another country, and you could see somebody with like a Metallica t-shirt or a Coca-Cola, we've created cultural influences of God around the world. And so now this is becoming one of them. And we're being called unloving if you don't agree. And it's happening rapidly and happening fast. We've had a lot of comfort as Christians in America because we could say one nation under God. We could walk around with our Bible. We could, share Christ. We haven't had this level of resistance like we have now. And so I encourage a lot of the teachings I've given on strife, on these end days, on mindsets that we need for these times. And I think that you have to be wise in where you pick your battles. I discourage Christians from just arguing everywhere they go. I think we have to be wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. I think there's a wisdom in knowing, okay, this is where I need to speak. This is where I need to, and especially in our homes, because that's where it's needed. And this is a time for us to recalibrate in our family, in our homes.
Yeah. To even bring it back to Max, because I've seen even a couple studies, studies done in high level, like colleges and things like that, on the influence of the autism community
and the gender stuff,
with all of that.
Yeah,
Max is highly influenced.
Right. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because that's a part of my moment of when he's rattling off these commercials and taking them literally.
Correct.
I've had this many times, but it just hit me like, oh my, if he was under the influence of a certain mindset, he'd be very, very vulnerable to it.
Yeah, a lot of these kids that are having a lot, we won't get too deep into it tonight because that's not our topic, but I was searching in the Charlotte area just to try to find a social group to get Max connected to. Yeah. And I will say with confidence, a very large number of the kids had confusion issues. Yeah. Being pushed by the parents. Right. Right. It's a very big problem within that community.
Yeah. Matthias, to put it was Matthias, you said, that said this, to put it in context of where I am, and I've mentioned this before, it is, I'm in an interesting niche where I have decades of pastor and ministry experience. I run a ministry, I communicate biblical truth, but I'm also in the mental health area. It's a very interesting crossroads of topics that you don't see a lot, if much at all. And I actually have a very hard time finding interaction with people in even in mental health spaces that don't come under these ideologies. Mm-hmm. You know, it can be a lonely world for what I'm trying to cultivate in the heart of a father, but also truth that sets us free. Yeah. You know. Mm-hmm. So anything else? Is there anything?
You know what? I'm sorry.
But I think people need encouragement, you know, and I think I want to encourage people, don't, get lost in the weeds. We have to guard what we're inputting. And that's a little bit of what I'm going to get into. Maybe I'll just kind of jump right into that if you don't mind. I want to talk, I'm going to switch over here. I want to talk for a little bit about building blocks for your mental health. And I'll probably spend the summer doing this because I've had a bunch of things biblically based of insight for your healing and freedom journey. And I look at when it comes to living a life of true, what we call mental health. We're talking about emotions. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about mood. We're talking about how we're feeling. We're talking about how we're able to process what we believe or process thoughts. What does the Bible have to say about it? And it's my conviction and premise that the Bible has a lot to say about mental health. The translations may not use some of the modern terminologies that we often use to try to describe certain things, but the blocks are there. The foundations are there. So I'm going to spend in some of these Sunday Night Lives carving out some of these areas that what are like the fundamental core foundational areas scripturally that are important in navigating. Like what do we need to, and I think what I'm going to share now ties into what I was sharing earlier about what we're guarding, what we're watching over, because what we're really doing is we're talking about the life of the heart. I would say tonight what I want to share just for a few moments is encouraging us as believers. You want to live in mental health, then I want to encourage you to live a life that values the life of the heart. Now, when it comes to mental health, at first, and in this modern society of science and neurobiology and all these things that come to the surface and studies and research and all of that, right? At first, when it comes to mental health, we, in our modern age, we focus in on the brain. We want to focus in on the mind. We look at different chemical aspects of you, the electrochemical aspects of how your nervous system works, how certain levels work within your mind, how they affect your mood, behavior, and all those things, right? We get into synapses and neural pathways and the complexities and all the studies that are shown. We get into human anatomy. We get lost in trying to fix the brain. We get lost in trying to focus in. Focus in on just the brain. And one of the things that happened when I saw that my son Max was showing that he was on the autism spectrum, I started praying like crazy for his brain. I mean, extensively, intensely, to the point actually for continual exhaustion. And it was in one of those exhausting moments, I sensed a prompting. Now, again, when I talk about hearing from God, I'm not one of those like the Lord said this, God said this. I think we get goofy when we do that constantly, as though we just have this direct, perfect line. I like to leave it where I'm still learning, and I'm still growing, and I'm learning with you, and we're learning together in this. But I sensed a prompting that I felt in my conviction God used. And it was this thought: you're focused so much on his head, his brain. Focus on his heart. Pray for his heart. And I thought that was very interesting because it was a bit counterintuitive, because my conditioning was like, yeah, but some connections aren't right in his brain. I got to pray for those pathways and pray for whatever's been affected or whatever's not developing to come into alignment with the way God designed. And I find many people approach mental health the same way. We approach, if I get my brain healed. Many of you see yourself, I got a broken brain. I got these thoughts that keep going in this direction. I have these intrusive thoughts. I have these anxious thoughts. I have mood that struggles. And when my mood goes up and down, I feel entire change of my physiology. I got a broken body. I got a broken head. Jesus would say, we all have a broken heart. And one of the first steps in beginning to experience greater heart healing from a biblical standpoint is not just get so mind focused or maybe even psychology, soul focus, or trying to just get all these transistors working. Renewing of the mind is important. It's incredibly important. I'll get to that at some point. But it starts where Jesus started, because all of his ministry flowed out of healing the broken heart, speaking to the heart, and valuing the heart. You see in his posture, what's so fascinating about the work and ministry of Jesus was that he cut past many of the symptoms and things that we look to. We look to the outward appearance. We look to status. We look to certain symptoms. We chase those things. He, in a moment, would cut to the heart of a situation. He'd get to the root system. He'd get to what's really going on, to what's really happening. I minister and work with many people who have a battle called obsessive compulsive, and it could be religious OCD. It could be a whole number of things, and they struggle with these thoughts that come in and are intrusive, and they get lost in them, and they struggle deeply. And what it does is it disconnects them from being able to just connect to the life of the heart, to move at a different pace. They get lost in certain things and think, I just got to fix this broken brain of mine. And Jesus would say, no, I actually want to do a deeper work in your heart, because as the heart goes, so does everything else. Now, what is the heart? You can look in a lot of my previous videos. In fact, I encourage you, if I'm speaking to your heart, is get a copy of the Heart Healing Journey. And there's a volume 1. It's a free curriculum you can jump into that gives foundational aspects to navigating the life of the heart and allowing ourselves to experience. But what I want to encourage my brothers and sisters is we live in a society where there's a war over your heart, and there is a fast-paced information, go kind of system that we live in that's not good for your heart. We are moving at the speed of data, and God is wanting you to move at the speed of relationship. There's a different speed, the speed of data and the speed of relationship. The speed of relationship is slow. The speed of relationship has rest stops. The speed of relationship takes turns and valleys, ups and downs. The speed of data is just go, don't stop. And so that data-heady kind of lifestyle infects our Christian walk. So now we're approaching God very, very heady. We're trying to research. We're trying to get all our theology just right. We're trying to learn everything, and we're trying to win every argument. We're trying to get all these synapses to line up. And Jesus would say, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because my yoke is easy, my yoke is light. That's a heart thing. I have to take a breath and lean into the relational rhythm of how God is operating at his speed. Because many of you find, wow, goodness, God's speed it's so slow, and actually his speed is relational. And many of you in your mental health journey, you start off in your learning. I need to be healed and better by last week. I need to hurry. Some of you say, I need to hurry up and get back to the way I was 10 years ago. When actually, it's really about you stepping into the new. There's a new you that is forming and being transformed and being changed. There's thinking patterns that are being renewed, but it's going to take things you're going to go through and learn and experience. You're going to practice. You're going to go around the mountain a bunch of times. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall. You're going to feel like, when's this ever going to get better? You're going to get discouraged. But God is continually working at the life of our heart. Now, if I was to describe the heart, it's the treasured seat where the core takes place. If I'm having a conversation with you, and we'll start off talking about the weather. You know, it's kind of a nice, heady thing to just get started. It's the light stuff, right? It's okay. You know, it's not we don't need to live in the deep all 24/7, right? There's the lightness of moments, and you start off. But then as you talk to me, you may ask me some questions about my son and how he's doing. And if I feel safe in the interaction, you're going to capture an interaction with my heart. You're going to capture those areas where I hold things dear that are important to me. Many times in a coaching session when I'm talking with someone and we get to the heart, I often say this, I just want to let you know we hit ground zero. We hit a real grounded perspective of what you're going through and what you're up against, what you've been experiencing, and what needs some tender healing. It's those places where, yes, emotions, when you hit the heart, certainly emotions get hit up. We cry, we laugh, we experience joy. There's a spectrum of emotions that we experience, we feel. It's what you hold to be important. It houses your deepest joys, your greatest pain. Many people try to shove down their heart, numb their heart, check out of their heart, right? Because within our heart, there's a mixture. There's some pain there. There's some heartache. There's some sadness. There's some grieving. There's enjoyment. There's delight. There's passion. There's desire. You see, it's not, many people have an antagonistic view of their heart. It's just all evil and just throw it away, not realizing God's given us a new heart. And we actually need to learn how do we cultivate a healthy life of the heart. And it happens in three areas. It's your heart relationship with how you process your relationship with God, how you see yourself, how you see your journey, what you've been through and where you're at, and how you see relationships around you. And I believe God is in a work of helping us to learn how to experience renewal in all three areas. But if I was to summarize, what does it mean to have value for the life of the heart? It would mean you value the beauty of relationship. You value meaningful relationships. You value meaningful relationship interaction. You like real life, authentic versus image, because the real is messy. It's not perfect. The authentic is not shiny and just always looking amazing. It needs processing. But you value relationship. You value relationship health, which means you value depth when you experience it. You appreciate it. You appreciate it more than spectacle. When you value life of the heart, you may go through your social media feed and may get a little bit or a lot frustrated because you see the quick, the shallow, the hollow, where there's no depth. When you value the life of the heart, you move past just symptoms and you get more to the heart of what's going on. Why is this happening? We get more to the heart of why we do what we don't want to do, why we do what we do, what makes you come alive, what brings passion to your life, what brings out what could even be what God's calling you to help others with. When you value the life of the heart, you let God do healing work. And you also let him mature you, because healing leads us to maturity. God's growing us up as sons and daughters. But we've got to do this from here. It's not going to be found in just taking a class. Somebody says, well, Mark, if I want to take your class, okay, I got it. No, you never just get it. You're continuing day after day to learn, to get, to receive, to practice, to grow in it. I'll get to two amazing examples in my life that I constantly look to, but I'm reminded of a scripture that's important in this process. And that's one I held dear in my life for many, many years and still to this day. It's tucked here right into Proverbs 4. Because in Proverbs 4, the writer and Solomon is doing so much in setting a foundation of what a father and what a mother bring, because it's all about wisdom and providing wisdom to the child, because our journey of wisdom begins there. Our relationship with our father and relationship with our mother. It's tucked into many of these passages of scripture that you see here of what both bring to the development of our life. When we come to mental health, I think the first stage we have to begin to go is am I able to tune into the life of my heart and what's going on? You see, in my battle of OCD, anxiety, and depression, the light bulb that went off for me was, I've got all this stuff going on up here, but what I'm actually carrying is a broken heart. And that broken heart needs the love of the Father. It needs a connection to his delight in me, because I grew up in the church my whole life and had no connection to what it meant to be loved by God. I asked him into my heart as soon as I could. And then in subsequent years, asked him again and again and again, as many do, and got resaved and re-asked and recommitted and rededicated and recommitted and all those kinds of things. That's a whole subject in itself. But I just wanted to know him. But I wasn't taught how to receive his love and connect to it from my heart. So I approach many things. I got to read this book and read this thing, go this program, learn this thing. And I chase thing after thing after thing after thing, trying to just get information and shove it into my brain so I could just be better. And what I needed is to go back to the fundamentals, go back to the foundation. And this passage here is just helpful for me because it says in Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. So if I sit down with you and see your battleground, because when people are working through mental health and I'm having a conversation with them, they often will hit the ground and just get right into it. They might list out their battle and just tell me all the things that are going on, or they'll get right to the point and go, this is what happened. This is what happens. From there, symptomatically, we can begin to take a journey down to the heart, because in their heart experience, it's, what was your upbringing like? What was your development like? Tell me some of your experiences that were very influential. Mark, I don't have time for that. Just help me get past my anxiety. Oh, well, there's pathways that people like to take for that. It's called the quick fix pathway. And it's very appealing, and it's used in a lot of marketing. It's used in a lot of selling of products to get people, and Christianity uses it too. This instant thing, I prayed this and everything just went away and I never had a problem with it ever again. We create these black and white solutions that happen overnight, and then everyone's discouraged as why they're not having, when really in reality, we're communicating inaccurate presentations of our testimony. I was brought back to, it's the heart, the life of the heart, and out of the heart springs everything. And so the things that you do that you don't want to do, the troubling thoughts you have, are often fueled by what's going on in the life of your heart. Question number one, are you connected to love? Are you rooted and grounded in love? Do you know how to see yourself through the love of God? Do you know how to see yourself through the grace of Jesus Christ and the demonstration of God's extravagant love towards you, of Christ giving his life for you and then sending grace to your life to empower you to live what he paid for? You see, right there in that honest conversation, many of us, me included, are going, I don't know. And you might have the same thing, grew up in church your whole life, and go, how did I How do you grow up in church and not be rooted in the love of God so deeply where you experience it on a regular basis? It's because we got super heady, and we got at brain and data mode. God needs to slow us down to the heart level, because this is where the issues of life spring forth. But in order to do this, we're going to have to slow down. We're going to have to learn love and compassion, because we're going to face areas of our life that are challenging, that are struggles. There's traumas and dramas. There's hurt. There's pain. And without love and grace, that stuff is really hard to look at. Shame, guilt, and condemnation begin to take over. But two people that are a real encouragement to my journey in this area. Number one is Jesus Christ, because in his life and how he dealt with people, he was fully loving, fully gracious, but he'd always cut to the heart. And he also demonstrated a life that had the spectrum of emotions. There were moments like when he was in the garden and he said, "My soul is sorrowful unto death." There's a lot of churches where you can't even say that to a brother or sister, because it's going to say that you have a lack of faith, or you something's wrong with you, or maybe you're not even saved, or maybe you're backslid, or all kinds of, when our Lord, sinless, made a statement like that. You see a moment where, in very, very strong emotion of anger, flipping tables because of something that he saw that was wrong and a counterfeit to God's heart for people. And many in the church would say, "Oh, that guy's got an anger problem. He needs to go to anger management." We see moments where Jesus wept. He cried like a baby at the tomb of his friend Lazarus, whom he would actually pray a prayer moments later and resurrect him. But Jesus had the ability to connect empathetically, compassionately, and feel through the moment that was before him. He looked over the people that he was going to die for, and looked over Jerusalem and said he wanted to bring them in. There's this picture of like a hen bringing in the chicks, and there's this sense that he wanted to bring them in like that, but yet they're still resisting, and he's feeling the pain, and he's feeling the anguish on that. Up on the cross himself, he can look out, and he's even accessing the emotion of what's being put on him, the weight, and he's still thinking about extending forgiveness. He even thinks about his mother to make sure that she's cared for. There's a beauty in the life of Christ where you see him demonstrate the emotional spectrum of the life of the heart. When you live a life from the heart, you have messy days. You have days that are challenging. You feel like everything's just kind of working against you, but you calibrate to love, because love is always available to your heart, to embrace you, to embrace what you're struggling in, to embrace what you're suffering, what you're going through. So lift off the pressure of how you're so doggone hard on yourself, where you beat yourself up so much. Jesus did not die on the cross and resurrect so that you could be on a daily basis your own worst enemy. When we live a life from the heart, we recognize, we start to learn, I need new relationship patterns. I need some changes in how I'm approaching the life of my heart. There's even statements in the book of Revelation, and it makes some people get nervous, but really Jesus is calling his bride to a deeper relationship. Because if you read Revelation in the 7 churches, if you're married and you've ever had a real conversation with your spouse where you said, "Hey, we're roommates and we need to get out of this roommate syndrome. We're kind of two ships passing. What do we need to do?" If you've ever had that kind of conversation, you'll understand Jesus's call here, because really he's calling his bride to say, "Hey, you've gotten lukewarm. Hey, you've left your first love. Hey, you're busy doing a lot of things, but you're missing some things of the heart. And we need to get recalibrated." When we live a life from the heart, we don't get so easily pulled by the distractions in modern culture of wealth, success, fame, influence, and what the system tells you means success. You have a different calibration, because a life from the heart gets grounded in what God says about us and what God says is meaningful. The second person that I am eternally grateful for is David. If you read the stories and read the journey of David, you see a man who goes through the highs and lows. You see him aching in agony. You see him making statements like, God, where are you? I feel like you've left me hanging. You see a man who makes tremendous mistakes. David had murder take place. David had deception take place. David committed adultery. Yet he has this label on him, a man after God's own heart. The sensitivity that was there. Many of you despise your sensitivity. You look down on it because you feel connected to emotions. You feel so empathetic. Sometimes people use the term empath, or you feel hypersensitive, and you get mad at yourself because you feel things. And I want to turn the tables on that and go, it's beautiful. It just needs to get grounded in love and grace. It needs to be nurtured and encouraged, not despised. David would have these ups and downs. You'd start off the psalm and he's down, and by the end of it, he'd find his way through it because he learned how to process. He even gave very raw emotions when he was exposed for adultery. And he went to the point of saying, take not your Holy Spirit from me, because he thought what he did would cause him to be banished. Have many of you felt that way? I know many OCDers have. Did God banish him? Did God remove the work of the Holy Spirit from him? God was faithful in his journey. And in fact, in David's ups and downs and his mistakes, we see the faithfulness of God, that God walks with us through the highs and the lows. And as David himself said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So if you're encouraged by what I'm sharing, I do encourage you want to take the next step, go into the heart healing journey. But I want to give you a couple things that I want to recommend that you need to guard over. Watch over. This in Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart, is also translated guard your heart or watch over your heart. Now, for me growing up, the translation of that was, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. It was this he sees you when you're sleeping. God's looking over your shoulder. You better not mess up. Better not have a bad thought. Better not do that. Nope. Better not do that. Better not do that. Better not do that. So we need to understand what Solomon is conveying here as a father to a son, as a parent to a child, to a daughter, about what it means this is a treasure, what's in your heart. And there's three things, I could go on, but there's three things I want to exhort you in that we need to watch out for in our mental health journey, because they are attacks on the heart that then get into our thinking patterns, how we're feeling. They get into our nighttime, our daytime. First at the top of the list is accusatory, condemning thoughts. The accuser of the brethren, he seeks to day and night hurl arrows to accuse you, to condemn you, to pull any evidence of flaw in your life and accuse you with it, to get you to fall out of your pathway and get you lost in a ditch of self-accusation. Because then when we feel condemned, we become self-accusers. We become self-condemning in our journey. It's interesting that John, in his writing in 1 John, says, if our heart does not condemn us, we have confidence towards God. Many of you, your confidence has been stolen to access the throne of grace, to walk up to your dad in the name of Jesus and be able to access him freely, because condemnation keeps hitting you. Shame keeps hitting you. Accusation keeps hitting you. And it hinders you and causes you to stumble, and it causes you to lose your confidence. Watch out for the work of condemnation and accusation. Number 2 is the assault of fear. Because at the top of the list, when we understand mental health, that it is highly influenced by the voice of fear that speaks and has influence in our value systems. Beware in these days of other people's fears being infectious, because fear is contagious. Anxiety is contagious. Worry is contagious. Watch over your heart that it's not guided by a panic-ridden, anxiety-ridden, worry-ridden, dread, foreboding kind of mindset. And many of us, all of us, actually have to confront this, because layer by layer, we're working through our fears. David said, I sought the Lord and he delivered me from all of my fears. There wasn't a snap of the finger and everything just disappeared. God took him on a journey, because you see through his life, there was stage after stage. We had to learn to trust in the faithfulness of God, where we need to learn the love that casts out fear, as 1 John 4 tells us. Be aware of the system of fear and how it want to get into your finances, get into your decisions, get into the steps forward that you take. Fear will want to meet you at every big step, at every little step, to prevent you from the beauty of what God's doing within you. I remind you, as Paul said to Timothy, stir up the gift that's in you. There are gifts that God's given you in your life to bless others. And don't hesitate to stir it up, because God is not giving you the spirit of fear. The work of fear in your life seeks to prevent the beauty of who you are and what is in you from shining forth. Number 3, and I think on this on a regular basis. The first is accusation and condemnation. The second is fear. The third is discouragement and weariness. This can also tie into just downright depression. Is that there is an assault. It's like a form of slight torture that wants to come against you each day to wear you out, from the news, your social media feeds, to the person in the cubicle next to you, to your father-in-law, to your ex-spouse, or whatever channel it comes through, to cause you to lose your sense of hope that God is at work amongst his people. Watch over your heart in that discouragement. Don't beat yourself up when you're feeling it, because discouragement has to be worked through. Anxiety often has to be worked through, right? We have to work through the shame issues and work through. We're on a journey of this, but just be aware of how these things are influencing your value system and how they're influencing the life of your heart. So, Father, I just pray in the name of Jesus for all my brothers and sisters watching this broadcast, watching what I'm sharing, watching what I'm navigating through, watching what I'm exhorting, and they're battling. And they're battling areas in their mind and their thinking, their mood, their emotions. They're struggling with certain thought patterns they can't seem to shake. And just for a moment, I pray for a divine pause. That you, maybe where you are right now, just take your hand and just put it over your heart. That God, I want to invite you and who you are in your love to do a work in my heart. My heart needs healing. My heart needs growing. My heart needs maturing. Help me to slow down. I humble myself. I humble myself to take in what I need. Because I thought I just needed a fixed brain. And I need to work in my heart to know what love is, to know how to live in peace, to know how to experience, because the heart is relational. God, I want to know you for who you are. I want to know who I really am. And I want to know others in the beauty of that. Because I know in that my mind will experience change. My relationships will experience change. It's going to be step by step, though. And I just thank you for that. I give you room for that. I bless my brothers and sisters right now. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with any questions you may have. Yeah, that's fantastic. So I pray that was a blessing to your journey, and be sure to get a copy of the Heart Healing Journey. And I got a volume 1 that goes through the first half of the book. So anyways, questions, what kind of questions you got going on?
Well, speaking of, a super chat from JC Burden Lifter about the Heart Healing book said, thanks for the Heart Healing Journey book. I burst into tears while reading the chapter on trauma. Healing is awesome. God bless.
I'm going to do some more work on trauma at some point. Lord willing, creek don't rise.
You know it.
At some point. I'm doing the OCD healing journey and some other stuff right now. But yeah, I'm going to do some more work on that. So looking forward to that there.
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, Tamar's Hope, I think that you put in a question about this previously. I could be wrong, but I think I remember. So she said, I resigned from my career in mental health and addiction this week. It was affecting my physical and mental health, attempting to compromise my Christian values, especially in the culture in the New York metro area. And I loved my job.
Wow. So I want to take a moment and pray for you.
Yeah.
Am I saying her name right? Is it Tamara?
Tamar's Hope.
Tamara's Hope. That's like her screen name.
Yeah, that's a screen name.
Well, Tamara's Hope. I just pray in the name of Jesus Christ that in this season of transition, there be grace on your journey. And I pray for amazing fruit for you, honoring your values, honoring what you know to be right, what you know to be true, and for still having a heart for people in mental health and addictions, because there is such a need for us to understand these areas, because these battlegrounds are amongst us all. And I just pray you will have open doors for work, and work that is fruitful, that pays well, and work that is meaningful to impact people's lives, that what you've been through and what you've learned will be a benefit to other people, and that God will bless you with new opportunities in Jesus' name. So keep me posted if any new occurrences.
Yes, please do. Cade, his super chat.
Is that Cade Kangas?
Yes, it is, Arcade.
Cade Kangas.
He said, thanks, brother. Your message really blessed me and my wife after our, in quotes, heavy-handed sermon at church.
Oh, gotcha.
Those are tough.
Gotcha.
We've seen a couple of those paint peeling off the walls.
Yeah.
We have some family members that are like,
I was going to say.
we have a couple of family members that could.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're sitting in a room and somebody manifests that heavy, religious, intense, condemning, just look over at if there's wallpaper, just look, because some of the wallpaper might start peeling off.
It actually cracks me up when you say that.
I've seen it. But I mean, no one really has wallpaper that much, you know.
Wallpaper's back.
Oh, you're right.
It is, actually.
You're right.
And it's not cute. I don't get. I think it's just bougie.
Okay. Okay. Can I just say?
Yes,
can I say something?
babe.
Can I say something? Makeup is not bad. Just for people in the comment section. That wasn't the point at all. We were going into. We were just trying to encourage our 12-year-old daughter. She doesn't have to. It was a lot.
Yeah, because you know why? She'll see like some of the videos.
Right.
We obviously all their stuff is locked down, but they'll see things and make up things, and we let her look because she likes to create. Yeah. And there are times where it's like, got a little too much makeup on, and she wants to, emulate what these girls are doing. And it's that fine line of letting her have her artistic expression with things. And,
right.
That's all we're saying.
But we use it a lot as a place of really just talking. It's a great avenue to talk about how you feel about yourself, how you think of yourself,
Yeah. She's taught me some things about makeup. It's helped me.
Yeah. She told me that I was blotchy today. So
she did. Colorful Thinker, thank you so much. She said, I wanted to show a small token of my gratitude. Can't really find the words to say, and I'm too afraid to ask a question. No, just ask a question.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to say that because I had a little bit of a slight potential spinny that we were being misunderstood, and whatever it's worth. You know what?
This is can someone ask a question here that I think would be just to answer.
Yeah.
We could go on and on about it, but Brandon's health journey said, how should you go about nurture and love when you're struggling with severe illness, loss of quality of life, chronic debilitating illness, like how to even let nurture come in?
So like we talk about chronic illness, there's like some kind of like physical disease that's like really taking a toll. Like, yeah. Well,
yes.
in many ways, you're answering the question with the question, because nurture, it starts with how we address ourselves. So, for example, a lot of times when we use the picture of nurture, we imagine like a mother whose child has just like scraped their knee, right? The first, what comes is you're okay. I've got you. Come here. I'm gonna fix the boo boo. I'm gonna nurture the wound, right? Because I've had my own battles with health issues, and I am no stranger to this. I'm still working through what the physical healing journey, or what the health.
That was good, babe.
What the health with the TH health journey looks like.
Goodness.
And I'm learning a lot, but it all starts with kindness. It starts with looking at yourself, because when you're struggling with physical illness, there's kind of two paths you can go on, right? One is like you kind of just pep rally yourself every day. I don't care if I'm in pain, I'm just going to go, right? I get that side. Then there's the other side that's like, woe is me. I'm never going to catch a break. My life is ruined. I think there's pieces of that we toggle back and forth to, but the healthy place is just loving nurture looks like I'm going to look at myself with compassion, because compassion takes into consideration what you're going through. So for example, if tomorrow I was going to run a 5K and tonight somehow I broke my leg, broke a bone in my leg, severe break, and I have to go get surgery, you would not come into the hospital the next day and go, Mark, why aren't you running in the 5K? Right? Why? Because in loving compassion and common sense too, you take into consideration where I'm at, right? Now, sometimes we take what we're going through and we make it our identity, right? And we can't see anything because it just limits us in everything. But in love, we go, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm limited right now. What can I do? What can I do? And so that empowers us to know what we can do where we're at. And that's where grace is available. That's a quick answer, quick summary.
I will tell you too, you put this into practice years ago when we started doing ministry sessions and such. And you would have people just put their hand on their heart. God loves me. I love myself. And I have what it takes to overcome.
Right.
And you start to pause at each one and just engage with those things. Because I think for most of us, it's getting that initial imprint of what even nurture can feel like, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're raised with it and you're going through stuff, we like to call those people aliens. They're a very small, rare breed who knows how to float through things. They're like, yeah, whatever, I'll get through it. Yeah, I've been rejected 100 times. Sure, no problem. I'll just keep it moving. I don't personally know people like this. I know they're
so
out
what you're
there.
saying. So what you're saying is aliens don't exist because you haven't seen them.
Listen, these rare species of people who had good grandparents and great grandparents, and it came down the line. I think they're out there. Just saying.
Yeah.
I personally have not experienced this, and I don't really know anybody else that has, but I know they're there. However, it's like trying to find the thing that's going to give you that real life connection to what nurture feels like. And sometimes we just have to do that to ourselves. And so I feel like that taking the hand on the heart and engaging with God loves me. I love myself. I have what it takes.
Yep.
And just God, I do this now. I have a loving husband. And I will sometimes,
And I have a loving wife.
Thank you. I will just simply sit on our back deck, and I have to go. We call them the everythings. Just go back to the simplicity of things. God, I just receive your love right now, even when I don't know that I necessarily feel it in the moment.
Yeah.
But just saying it until I can connect to it. So,
I remember many moments.
I don't know if that helps, but
it really does. Yeah, it really does.
Some of my chai tea. This is nurturing for me. Chai tea is nurturing.
Now, what I think about is when I've had like, because I've talked about autoimmune stuff that I've had to work through.
We've had a lot of that.
Where I have a flare up. And so there's times where the flare up, like it really limits what I'm able to physically do. It could like sap my energy and my joints start inflaming, everything, just like feel like you just want to go to sleep. And what nurture looks like in that moment is like, okay, I may not be able to do what I was planning on because I have to work through that. Because we all like, I'm a typical like, okay, I'm a planner. Okay, here's today on the schedule. Here's what I kind of have in mind. I don't overbook myself, but I have some things, right? I go, okay, I might have to just keep it to the bare minimum today. And that project that I wanted to work on, or I wanted to go do that thing in the yard and I can't do that today, right? And I could spiral. But I go, it's all right, because I might need a little bit of rest. Or I go, you know what? Let me just go for a walk and see how I feel in an hour, right? That's now accessing the kindness of God, because then it may pass and I get through it. Or maybe I learned something that like, hey, you know, I'm not very hydrated today, you know, and I need to drink some more water, you know, like I when I'm beating myself up or I'm spiraling, I don't know what I need. I'm just drowning. And so I want to stop drowning, just like get to the water level and go, okay, now what?
Right.
And we learn how to walk through our journey with the obstacles. And I think that applies to any obstacle that comes your way, whether it's sickness, whether it's calamity, or, you know, whatever. Yeah.
That's good, babe.
It's good. I had a good time tonight. I like having you here. So.
I just had this, I feel like I missed that we haven't had the video.
You mean Sunday?
Should we exit with the tambourine video today? Let's pick this beat up a little bit.
I thought you were gonna give some like, you know what? I was like, oh, you want the hold on a second.
Do y'all want the video?
Give me a second.
Come on now.
Give me a second.
Because I feel like we had this like.
Can I give one quick announcement?
We just had church a little bit.
Can I give one quick announcement?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to take a broadcast break this week, so you won't see any videos from me this week, and I'll be working on some upcoming stuff and things like that. We'll be back the following a week from today. We'll be back. I believe it's Father's Day, right? Father's Day, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'll bring part 2, and we'll do some other stuff here too. So let me see here if I can. I don't know if I may have. Oh, here we go. No, it's here.
You.
I got it. You missed it. You were missing this.
I was missing it, and we needed to end it on a fun note. Did we not?
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah, that's good. That's what's up. That's what's up.
We talked about God's love and nurture and encouragement, and we needed the tambourine, baby.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. This is great. So love you guys. Have a fantastic, wonderful, glorious week.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So kind in the chat.
Yeah.
Always awesome.
Really great. Love y'all. Honey, thank you for being here. This is great.
Hey, well, thank you.
Yeah. I miss you when you're not here. You know,
too.
I did the solo last week, and it's like just something's missing. So
thanks, Boo.
Anyways, y'all, love you all. Pray you have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, everyone.
Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll be back. More insights for your healing and freedom journey. So this is your brother from another mother.
And your sister from another mister.
In the meantime,
we out.